How about for you? You tell a lot of great stories in the book about how others came to become active citizens in their communities. What was the first moment for you when you said, "I need to be involved"? What was that experience?
Well, one of the things that I emphasize in this book, because it has such a particular focus on college students, is that educational institutions are also political bodies, and therefore the same skills that you would apply if you were trying to influence the county commission are going to be applicable if you're trying to influence the administration of the University of Central Florida. One of my first encounters was when I was a high school student. Our high school was about to celebrate an important anniversary in its history, its 50th anniversary. We had a new principal. I was the president of the student council, and we wanted to make this a big deal and have a big reunion and a celebration of our school's history. And students were very proud of what our school had represented. The principal quashed the idea, and I was stunned at his reaction. And then I began to do what the book talks about, and that is try to understand the decision maker. How was he looking on this issue? And what was obvious after a little examination was that he was new. All the people that we were going to try to recognize, former principals, former teachers, former students at Miami High, were there before he was the principal. And he felt intimidated by the fact that we were going to be recognizing the past, and he thought he was the symbol of the future. And so we finally had to convince him that this was not intended to be any sense denigration of his new leadership, that in fact it indicated what a strong foundation he had to build from. Exactly the kind of skills of understanding why the mayor or the superintendent of schools or the president of the university might take a position, and therefore you have to shape your arguments around the green buttons and avoid the red buttons when you are attempting to convince him of the appropriateness of your goal.
So understand the target for the engagement. I enjoyed the story you tell in the book when you were in the legislature and so students approached the microphone and offered their complaint about the food in the cafeteria and asked what can you as a member of the legislature do about it, and you learned that they had previously gone to the mayor and the sheriff, so that they clearly in that example didn't know who their audience was.
Yeah, that was in many ways the beginning of this book, because after that experience I talked to some civics teachers and said there must be something wrong if students get to be almost high school graduates and think the mayor, the sheriff, or the legislature is the place to go for greasy pizza on Friday. And I thought the teachers would be responsive to my observation. They were responsive in a very negative way, saying that, look, we're sick and tired of you politicians coming here telling us how to do our work better. You don't know what the hell you're talking about, and the only way to find out is to actually get into the classroom. And so I accepted, and it turned out to be 18 weeks teaching high school civics, which was a life-transforming event for me, and got me stimulated on this subject of citizenship and what did students need to know in order to exercise their citizenship.
Here in Florida, it may be that message of the importance of citizenship isn't getting across. A recent study put out by the National Conference on Citizenship, just released a few weeks ago in, I guess, October of 2009, found that Florida ranks 46th out of the 50 states in civic health. That we're 34th in voter turnout, 49th in the percentage of citizens who volunteer, 48th in the percentage of citizens who attend a public meeting, 37th in the percentage of citizens who worked with others to solve a community problem, and 44th in the percentage of citizens who contributed $25 or more to charity in the year 2008. To what extent should we as a society and as Floridians be concerned about those statistics?
We should be very concerned because those are the kind of indications of a fundamental illness in the ability of our society to work together to do those things that require common action. If you want to know why you have traffic jams on I-4 in Orlando, some of it has to do with exactly those statistics, that we've had a long period in which people haven't invested or cared very much about their public institutions and responsibilities, and because of that, we've had that we've had the retrenchment in our commitment to education. Florida at one time was in the top third of the states in terms of education at all levels. We've dropped considerably, and I think that is in large part because citizens haven't been paying attention and haven't been using their citizenship skills, yes, at the ballot box, but also as an individual participating directly in our democracy to see that those parts of our state which are critical to today and even more critical to tomorrow are well attended.
So in thinking about those statistics and what you just said, would it be fair to cast blame solely on citizens as individual citizens and communities that they're not choosing to participate, or is there something else going on in our communities that prevents citizens from wanting to engage?
Yeah, they're not the sole cause of the problem. I could cite some other institutions like political parties and journalists or journalism, but they are the fundamental source of the solution to the problem. An energized, active citizenry is the key to having a decent society and a society that provides the kind of institutions that a modern democracy depends upon.
You describe in the book on the first page the idea that the lack of participation, the lack of engagement, is equivalent to a health crisis, and we're debating health reform, healthcare reform now across the country. So, can you say a bit more about this idea that lack of civic engagement is in fact a health crisis? What happens if we don't pay attention to this and citizens continue to not engage?
Yeah. Well, if I could use another analogy, I'm a private pilot, or at least I have been one. And to get a private pilot's license, one of the things you have to do is to put your aircraft in a stall, which means that you've lost airspeed and you're starting to spiral to the ground, and then know how to recover from that. With a spiral, if you do it early enough and you do it correctly, you will safely recover and land. If you either don't know what to do or you procrastinate, the spiral becomes so tight that it's not recoverable and you're going to splatter on the ground. My concern with the state of citizenship is we've clearly been in a downward spiral now for better than 40 years. How much longer can we go before we get into the tight death spiral that from which there is no recovery?